What happened to his glasses? What's going on here? He doesn't have a stupid gamer neckbeard. Is he trying to evolve or something? Bruh, you're never getting past Magikarp. Relax, it's not that deep. You're famous, you're gonna find a wife anyway.
Man, talk about the duality of video games. I've spent the last couple of days just singing praises to Baldur's Gate 3 because of its well-deserved critical
True.
and commercial success. It is insane to see that a CRPG like Baldur's Gate has peaked all the way up to 814,000 players at its all-time peak, and to this day continues to peak close to these numbers. I mean, the 24-hour peak as of the recording of this video, 791,000, almost 800,000 players are still playing the game every single day. And then looking at the critical reception, this is actually crazy. As more reviews are pouring in, the Metascore is only going up. Right now, from 21 critics, it's sitting at a 97%, which beats out none other than The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom, which
Well, yeah, but Tears of the Kingdom is only received good because it's Tears of the Kingdom. In reality, Tears of the Kingdom is like 99% nothing. And then it's like just a rudimentary building thing, and you know that's kind of it.
Up until Baldur's Gate 3 came along, held the highest review score of 96% of the year. Now, to be fair to Tears of the Kingdom, it does have 145 critic reviews. We'll have to wait for more reviews to come in to really gauge where the Metascore will sit at when a lot of the major outlets review this game. But I get the feeling that it's not going to stray too far off from the high 90s. And the community sentiment is also very positive, judging by the user score here of 9.1 from almost 5,000 ratings. And if you look at Baldur's Gate...
Does he even have pupils? Maybe someone took his soul, who knows?
Gate 3 Steam listing, you can see that the review score is still at overwhelmingly positive from 84,000, almost 85,000 recent reviews. It is sitting at a 96% approval rate. Utterly insane. And that's what happens when a game delivers on its ambitions in a very consumer-friendly manner with no compromises to its design for the sake of monetization. It's just a purely content-rich, good-ass game. And then there's Overwatch 2 and how that's been going. So the Metascore here from 52 critic reviews is sitting at 79, which is not as...
yes, this is why we don't take critic reviews seriously in gaming, music, film, movies, you name it, critics don't matter. It's a miracle these people have a job, honestly. Why do people even think they matter? They don't. I never look at the critics score because I know it's either paid for, bought off, or it's garbage trash based on like politics or something. The user score is the only thing that matters.
High as it was for Overwatch 1, and you can see that not as many reviewers checked out this game. The user score, though, speaks to a community that's none too happy with the current state of the game or the way Overwatch 2 was shipped. They scrapped Overwatch 1 for Overwatch 2, and they just added a couple new maps and some new heroes, and some of the...
Which they could have done, by the way, in Overwatch 1, if you're just, wondering.
Adjustments, like the fact that it's 5v5 now versus 6v6 has proven to be controversial. The monetization is definitely way worse, and in turn, the progression loop is also way worse.
I mean, that's why they needed an Overwatch 2, so the monetization looks fresh and lovely and even worse.
The single-player stuff, the PvE, has been significantly downgraded, while story missions are still going to come out through updates. The hero missions with the different hero skill trees that will...
I love it that Blizzard just looked at their roster of, diversity hires and thought, yeah, you know what? We can't actually make a story about this. Diva is a gamer girl. There's no way to write a story about her. Like, she's as one-dimensional as it gets. Lucio, yeah, he does music. That's also kind of as one-dimensional as it honestly gets. Reinhardt, is he German? Yeah, the accent's German, so he must be German. And that's also as far as the character development goes. It's great. It's absolutely great. Now, the world of Overwatch is actually pretty interesting in my opinion. The whole robot war and whatever, when Roombas decided to strap knives to themselves and just poke at your knees. It's kind of a great thing. But the characters that live in Overwatch, not really.
allow you to change a hero's playstyle while playing a wide variety of missions. That stuff has been scrapped completely, and so people are just not understanding the point of releasing an Overwatch 2 instead of just updating Overwatch 1, with the speculation being that it's just a matter of greed. It's just Overwatch 1 with a 2 label so they could essentially charge people again for this game and just try to raise the
I mean, do people not understand it? That's obviously the point of Overwatch 2.
hype for what is essentially, for the most part, a very similar game that does not justify the 2. It's more of like an Overwatch 1.5 or an Overwatch 1 Chapter 2, and that's why you're seeing user scores like these. But where things get really ugly is if you look at the Steam user score of this game. Overwatch 2 was recently released on Steam. It was always on Battle.net, but I think to raise player numbers, Blizzard and Activision decided, let's put this out on Steam, but
That's, by the way, very desperate that they choose to do that. Because the truth is, the reason why every company actually wants their own stupid client to launch games is because, well, if you want to play Overwatch and you click play Overwatch, guess what you get? You get an ad for how great it would be to play Diablo 4 or buy some kind of microtransaction in World of Warcraft. In Steam, you can't do that. So, yeah, that's a big minus.
Its reception has been less than stellar, judging by the fact that as of today, August 12th, 2023. It's only been 2 days since the game's launch on Steam, by the way. This game released on Steam on August 10th. 2 days later, we're already seeing that 87,871 reviews have poured in, and the review score is overwhelmingly negative. It's literally the complete opposite of what Baldur's Gate 3 has accomplished. It is such a stark contrast, two completely different ends of the spectrum. And you can see that oh my god! Okay, I was not expecting the score to sink this much lower. Last time I checked, Overwatch 2's Steam review score was sitting at 11% from almost 60,000 reviews. This was August 11th. Now it's August 12th. Not only did the number of reviews increase by 30,000, the score actually went down to a 9%. I actually did not know this prior to recording this video.
This is, by the way, what I love about Steam in general. It's the fact that in Steam, you can't hide, okay? People call it review bombing, but the review bombing happens because of a reason. And it's completely justified, in my opinion, because, well, yeah, Overwatch 2, by being a game, is not actually that horrendous. It's still Overwatch, right? It has still all of the aspects of Overwatch. But a new player will, if you rate it by that measurement, a new player will come in and be like, oh, this is probably not that bad. People are kind of liking it. And Steam just absolutely destroys games that you know, do these sort of shitty things. And Overwatch is one of them. So now everyone knows that you shouldn't play Overwatch because the developers are absolute trash. Like, this is almost like Steam culture, if you will. If a game is decent-ish, but the developers start doing extremely stupid and shady crap, you're gonna get destroyed. Because people are gonna say, yeah, developers are trash. Game is mid at best, but the developers are trash, do not buy it, they're gonna try and milk you. And I think this is great. I think this is 100% justified. Because, you know, if you rate, for example, some kind of place where you eat, you're not just rating it on the quality of the food. You're rating it also on service and whatever. And this is the exact same thing that's happening with Overwatch. If the game is good-ish / mid-ish, but the company behind it is just making literally all the wrong decisions ever possible, that's going to be reflected here in heart.
I did not think the score could go lower. And what this means, ladies and gentlemen, is that Blizzard is continuing to push the boundaries of how many games they can sync to some of the lowest user-rated games of all time. Overwatch 2 has literally become the worst user-reviewed game in Steam's history, sitting at number 1. And this was prior to the score sinking to 9%. Even at 11%, it was already at number 1 worst user-reviewed game on Steam. But now it's sitting at 9%, so that gap is getting even bigger. compared to the second worst user rated game, War of the Three
Oh, look at that. There's also Mobile Suit Gundam. Nice.
Kingdoms, which is sitting at 12%. It is actually insane to see the degree to which the community has rallied together to disrupt Overwatch 2's user review score, both on Metacritic and on Steam. Like, to this degree, this really highlights how upset the Overwatch community is at Blizzard for the way the sequel has been handled, for the way the Overwatch IP as a whole has been handled. And again, this feels like a consistent pattern nowadays for Blizzard.
True.
If you look at the worst user-rated games on Metacritic, you can see that Blizzard has taken a number of spots. Diablo Immortal is in second place. Warcraft 3 Reforged,
Look at that. It's all the Maddens. This is great.
is in fourth place. And if you scroll up, you'll find other Blizzard games, chief among them being Overwatch 2, which is currently sitting at a score of 1.4. Not
Dude,
far.
bruh, it's literally every Madden game, because every Madden game is just not even a reskin. It's literally the same game, but you just have to buy packs again. It's great.
Far off from the likes of EA Sports titles or 2K Sports titles like Madden, NBA, and the like. Metal Gear Survive is a little lower than Overwatch 2, but not by much. The difference in reception between something like Overwatch 2 and the critically acclaimed and universally celebrated Baldur's Gate 3 is literally night and day. 96% versus
I mean, this is how the world should be, in my opinion.
9%. Jesus Christ, it's like it's worse than I imagined. And the reviews express tons of common complaints, how greedy the monetization is, the way heroes are locked behind Battle Pass, the way the PvE stuff has been scrapped. Story mode isn't scrapped, it's the hero missions, but it is a significant part of the PvE that people are looking forward to. It still doesn't change the fact that the justification of the two at the end of Overwatch 2 is just not there. A lot of meme reviews like PORN so good they made a game out of it. This company is not worth.
I mean, say what you will, the most impressive part about Overwatch was the Rule 34.
Worth your money. They scrapped everything they promised for
Like,
PvE.
damn, the Rule 44 had actually better animations than actual Overwatch. The amount of love the porn industry put into this game is far bigger than Blizzard could possibly ever actually put in it.
And downgraded the game and are slowly reintroducing aspects of the first game and calling them updates. While the gameplay's still there, the greed overshadows everything else. And that's the thing about Overwatch 2, the tragedy of what's happening to the Overwatch IP right now. The setting, the heroes, the core gameplay is all so solid. It's such a great foundation, but the design around all of those positive elements are so thoroughly compromised by this game's necessity to be this heavily monetized live service. The progression loop is fucked. And then beyond that, the disappointment surrounding the cadence of content releases, the quality of content releases, the balancing that they've done that has proven to be controversial in certain areas, and just so many missteps along the way. It all paved the road to a game that had all the potential in the world and never ultimately lived up to them. I've said this
Wait, does he also have a new hairstyle? Bruh.
before, and I'll say it again. Overwatch 2 is the prime example of how not to do a sequel.
Look at young trying to become a human. Not gonna work, Chief. Once an animal, always an animal. You know it, I know it, I never became anything but an animal.
For a major game series. They use the number 2 as a cash grab rather than a true signifier of taking big leaps forward with the visuals and gameplay and overall design of Overwatch. Like, plenty of people miss Overwatch 1 because at least in that game, even though it had loot boxes, somehow they managed to make a worse microtransaction system without loot boxes in Overwatch 2. Like, that's how greedy it is.
Wait, actually, if you think about it, that's true. That's kind of impressive. I'm impressed, honestly. Well played, Blizzard.
In Overwatch 1, at least there was a gameplay path towards earning all of your rewards without paying a single cent. And so there was some kind of rewards loop that did motivate people to come back. But with Overwatch 2, everything feels grindier, less rewarding. And it just, it doesn't pave the road to positive community sentiments. Like, do I actually think that Overwatch 2 is genuinely worse and less fun and more broken than some of these games listed here among the worst user-rated games of all time? No, not really, but what this user score represents is the community sending a message. The message is, we're sick and tired of all the BS surrounding Overwatch, man. From how little
But you have to remember that same community will buy anything that Blizzard puts out when they put out. Blizzard may call a game fuck the fans, and the fans are still gonna gobble it up like it's made of candy.
Overwatch 2 justifies itself as a sequel to all of the changes that are controversial, to the way they marketed this game and made the hero missions one of the marquee elements that would justify the 2 in Overwatch 2, but then scrapped it after all the marketing that they did, and they knew that they were going to scrap the hero missions before the game even launched, and they didn't even warn people about it because they wanted to make the money first and then drop that sad bit of news. It's the fact that they intentionally kept quiet about the scrapping of hero missions up until months after the game launched, up until a lot of people had purchased the game, many of them who might have purchased it looking forward to those hero missions. That makes that situation especially scummy. And in general, people are just tired of Activision Blizzard shenanigans. And the thing is, you can tell that there's so many talented developers at Blizzard. It's not...
Name one. They don't exist. They don't exist. This is a lie. We just yesterday watched the Diablo 4 developers play the game. They don't even have characters of their own in the game, okay? They literally had to make fresh level 50s for them so they can play the game. They played on World Tier 1 and they died. They died on World Tier 1. They didn't even use abilities that use resources. It's crazy. It was literally the most craziest thing ever. It's insanity. You can't tell me that there are talented people working at Blizzard. If they were, the games would have been good. Because again, the people who make the Battle Pass are not the people who make the actual game. The people who decide what to cut from, well, not what to cut from the game, but what kind of microtransactions there are going to be are not the same people who actually make the game. You understand that, right?
Their fault, they're just following the mandates of the higher-ups, but the higher-ups, their heads are so up the asses of their piggy banks that it corrupts everything. All of these Blizzard games...
It doesn't corrupt shit. The higher-ups literally could not care less about how the developers actually handle the game.
The potential is immense. And there's always like this really solid foundation. Same with Diablo 4, that then starts to fall apart when the corporate elements begin to seep in, and it just compromises and corrupts everything, all of that potential. And it's a shame to see, man, because when...
Boo! Rose-tinted goggles, Yogg. Boo! Anyway, that's probably it. But until he spouts more reasons why Blizzard is actually a good company and not a failure that should be yeeted and deleted off of this world. Anyway, this was Quizzer Said. Thanks for watching. Subscribe if you haven't already, and have a nice day. Bye-bye.